Yeah, this will be episode 1 of a new series that we're doing. Uh, the series is going to be how to become a better runner. And today we're going to be answering the question, how to pick the best running shoes with me. And we've got with us a special guest, Nico Nelles from Pace Athletic Store. He's the resident shoe expert for today. That's
Yeah, hi
how you
guys.
say your last name, correct, isn't it, Nico?
Sorry, say it again.
Your last name, Nico Nelles, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
It's a very good pronunciation.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. Yeah, well, should I start like a marathon or training for my marathon at the moment? My first sub 3 attempt. Doing this for a while now, pretty much since I joined Turbo Runners in 2019. I think when COVID hit for the first time I think when we came out of lockdown in May, that was my first catch up with some of the guys at Turbo Runners. And then since then, I created this goal of breaking sub 3 for the marathon for the first time. And ever since, I'm trying to build up my mileage, being consistent in running, and get to a start line.
Where are you?
Which is not that easy the last 2 years, as you guys will know.
Yeah, every race being cancelled, getting excited for a marathon, and then having it not happen. Which race are you going for?
So at the moment, I'm planning to do the Orange Marathon, which is the first Sunday of March. So it's pretty soon. Just purely because I was over it. So I was aiming for last year's Canberra race, and then I just got injured a month before, which was super annoying. Because I thought I was on a good track to do it there. Anyway, and then COVID hit again. A lot of races got canceled again. And so I pretty much Googled just before Christmas and said, like, what's the first kind of big marathon fast course that's coming up? And it was Orange. So I texted my coach and said, like, do you think we can do it? She said, like, yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's the training look like over the past, say, 8 weeks or leading up to it?
Yeah, so I did a bit of faster stuff in just leading up to Sydney Harbour 10, which was my first ever 10K race. So I did a lot of threshold stuff and above threshold and faster interval, which I don't enjoy and don't like. I blew up a lot of time in training. It's this different mindset you need for the shorter stuff. I think Dom mentioned in the last episode when he did a lot of 800 meter stuff. It's just physically and mentally a different thing than preparing for a marathon.
Definitely, yeah.
So I'm definitely more up with the longer stuff, half marathon, where I just like can log in a pace and keep this pace for like hopefully less than 3 hours. But I don't know, with the 5K and 10K, you just like the lactate pain is from the first step so painful, and it's just like a different mindset you need. So I enjoyed the race. It was really good. I think I saw you as well, Luke, at the end of the start line. We all three had a pretty good race. So
yeah.
It was an awesome event. I enjoyed it, but it's definitely not my favorite distance. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's 10K is awkward. It's like you still have to run fast enough to hurt quite a lot, and it's more prolonged than the 5K I've found. So it's a bit of an awkward distance. When did we do that half marathon? Do you remember we did that time trial?
Yeah, that was the first Sunday of 2020.
All right.
Okay.
So pretty much a year ago now.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was my time trial. Just what was that? 3.5 months before Canberra or something?
Yeah, that was quite quick, if I recall.
Yeah, it was 85, I think.
Yeah.
That was, I think, when I met you the first time. Dom brought you with him and pacing me. That was meant a lot for me. Like a lot of people there, Turbo Runners. I think we had Dave doing a 10K time trial as well on that day. And
that's right.
I didn't break 85, but 85 was quite quick for me at the time. Now I think that's not that quick anymore.
It's funny how it progresses.
Yeah, it's what you said the last episode, Luke, as well, when like you thought 3:30 for a half marathon. When you saw the first time Dom doing that, you didn't think it was possible to do it.
Yeah.
I had no concept at all. Yeah. It was the same thing, breaking 40 minutes in the 10K when I started running. Seemed like the most bizarre sort of goal, but it just keeps going and going and going. Yeah. So what have you been, just last little point on your training, have you been doing any big long runs or incorporating threshold work into those long runs? I think I saw something on Strava.
Yeah, definitely. So my training is pretty much two sessions throughout the week, and then a long run. And my long runs is always a kind of a fartlek. So it's a bit of a Canova style philosophy for my long runs. So always trying to have a certain percentage of the mileage at marathon goal pace, or sometimes even a bit faster, depends on the workout. So something like 3 times 7K at around marathon pace, or a bit quicker with a K jog in between. So something like that. Or 5 times 5 at marathon pace with a kilometer jog in between.
Yeah, that's solid. Dom, that's what you had me doing when I trained for the first marathon. I remember running around the bay doing 3x5K. How's the marathon pace been feeling in training?
Surprisingly good. So to be honest with you, my last long runs or sessions, I have a marathon pace I'm training at around 4 or 5 pace. And sub 3 is 4:15.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty comfortable around 4 or 5.
Okay, very good sign.
Which makes me really confident for race day, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff.
So 4:15 feels pretty good for me at the moment.
Yeah, good stuff. Dom, what's the update with the training, if you just want to go over it briefly?
Yeah, quickly. So I'm training for 6 foot marathon in March. And last week I had this mindset that I've got to get fit and start doing marathon training. So I ramped up my mileage quite a lot. I ran 152 Ks for the week, and that was kind of the focus, was just to get as much volume in as possible. But I also probably did a few too many sessions and kept the intensity up as well. So I think I wasn't really getting the best out of my sessions because of that. So moving into this week, I think I'm going to try and fix that up a bit and take the easy days a bit easier. Hopefully the sessions improve.
Good stuff.
What about you, Smitty? How was your week?
Yeah, good. I'm just trying to work back from after the 10K. I took a little bit of time off, just trying to refresh, but now I'm trying to build back up to sustaining mileage, maybe like 120 Ks I want to get back to, but the focus is on speed. And just going back to your point, Nico, it's very, very different. Trying to hit those paces when you're not used to running that fast, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's as both of you have said in the past, it's just completely different kind of training. So I'm trying to get used to that, given I've normally done half marathon or marathon training. So focus is on doing a speed session on Saturday, and then just not putting too much attention on the long run, just run as easy as possible and get through it and have time on the legs. So that's the focus at the moment for me.
Any races on the horizon?
I don't know what a good 5K, 10K is. All I know is I have unfinished business with the 10K distance. I want to dip under 34 minutes. So if anyone has any ideas, I'm open to them. But send in your ideas for to run a 5K or 10K.
I think that's 10K.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That could be good. Is it? You said it was
Isn't the same weekend? Is it Port Macquarie?
Yeah.
I think it's in March as well. Yeah,
that's true.
I reckon Orange probably sounds better than Port Macquarie.
Yeah, because we've been to Port Macquarie.
Yeah.
And did the half marathon there, but
it's a bit humid.
Very.
Is it humid?
Yeah, like
it was
on the coast, like salty kind of humidity. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But pretty flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into running shoes?
Yeah, let's get started on today's topic. So we're trying to answer the question, how to pick the best running shoe for me. That was the whole point of getting Nico on.
For you?
Yeah. Oh, for
me, as in for the listener, me. I think. I guess. Well, when someone walks in to the store, how do you kind of approach the process of them picking a shoe? How does it normally work?
Yeah, so not like Pace. I work at Pace in Sydney. For everyone who's listening out of Sydney, we are like a running specialty store. We just opened our 5th store in Waverley in the eastern suburbs. And everyone that works at Pace is an avid runner, has a passion for running, and we just have a chat with the customer. I mean, you get the customers like you guys, that avid runner themselves, that know a bit about running, and they know what they want. These kind of an easy sell. So you have a bit of chat about running and races. But if you have someone that's new to running, you normally have a brief chat about what they're running, like road or trail. That's the first probably question you need to know. And then you go a bit about like what kind of distance, how many times a week, what have they run in the past, like have they ever run before, which kind of shoe. Best case, they're having a shoe with them that they ran in before. So you can see the wear pattern, kind of the foot strike of gait cycle kind of thing. And then normally you measure them up and have a bit of a look of the gait cycle as well, just when they walk, just to make sure they're not having like a heavily overpronation or something. And then, go from there. Normally I give every customer at least 3 pairs of different shoes, just to get a feel for it. Because buying a running shoe seems complicated. It is quite important, but at the end, it's pretty much down to 2 factors. It's the right fit and the comfort, to be honest. Most customers we have.
So, yeah, I know. I used to always tell Smitty that it's just
every year, all shoes are the same, apparently. No, I found that not to be true, but anyway.
So people get quite overwhelmed and they say like, oh, there's so many shoes on the wall, and like I'm new to running and I watched so many YouTube videos and I'm not sure now, is it the next percent is it Nike or is it something else? And I say like, to be honest, most of the shoes are similar. It's all just different brand. Like Nike has a stability shoe, Nike has a race shoe, Nike has a daily trainer, same as Hoka, same as Asics or Brooks, you know?
Yeah. It's pretty much the same. Like every shoe company kind of has those 3 main categories. So you got your daily trainer, a session kind of shoe, and then a performance shoe. So
and at the end of the day, I tell the customers as well, like each of these brands, they have like their professional athletes that they sponsor. So that's the reason why they need all of these shoes for their athletes, right? Because if you're sponsored by Nike, you need a daily trainer shoe as an athlete. You need a performance shoe and a racing shoe. And at the end, you need to try them on and just have a feel for it. Because what feels comfortable for me might not feel comfortable for you, Luke, or for you, Dom. So everyone has personal preferences. But at the end of the day, it's the comfort and the fit. I think the fit is very important, where a lot of people, especially coming from daily sneakers or other sport shoes, ending up half a size bigger or a size bigger. It feels quite weird in the first time. They say like, oh, they're way too big, I can't wear them. I say like, explain me what feels too big. Oh, it's too much room in the front, in the toe box. I say, but that's good thing. Because if you go for a long run, and it might be for you 10K, for me it's like 20, 25K, and you do it in summer when it's like 28 degrees, it's humid, your feet gonna swell. So you definitely need that space, especially in trail shoes when you go uphill, downhill. And we've got customers that come in like, oh, I wear a US 9 my whole life, and they're ending up buying a US 10.5. It's like,
wow.
And they're coming back 6 months later. So like, oh my God, running felt so much better for me. I never ran like this before in the last 20 years.
It's funny you say that, because as you know, Dom, I've had a lot of problems with my my toes getting, I'm not sure if it's the way I strike, but it causes like bruising on the toes and a lot of issues in there. So maybe I should reevaluate the size of my shoe, to tell you the truth, but I never really thought of it that way.
Maybe you should get fitted.
I think I should. I've been buying size 10 Nikes forever, not even thinking about it, and haven't even questioned.
Probably in 11, by the sounds of it.
Okay.
And I had the customer the other day, he's like, nah, I know my shoe size. It's US 9. And when a customer tells me his shoe size like that, I always know, no, he's not US 9 for sure, at least 9.5. So I end up measuring him, and he was on one side, he was exactly a 9, and the other foot was a 9.5. So for me, it was clear that he needs a 10 at least. Maybe some shoe brands a 10.5. So he got to 10. He said like, oh, much, it's so spacious and stuff. And so like, it's spot on, mate. He said like, oh, these days are the upper of the shoes better quality? I said, what do you mean? I said like, oh, my old shoes I always poke out with my toe after a few hundred Ks. I said, mate, because you buy US 9. You buy US 9 and I measure your foot US 9.5.
Toe literally poking out of the shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It creates a hole in the upper. And he asked me if the upper of this shoe that he's going to buy is better than his old upper. I said, man, if you buy US 9, you poke your toe out of every shoe. Doesn't matter how doable the upper is.
Yeah. I think I'm maybe one notch below the toe poking straight out of the upper. Because I've never had experience with trail shoes. What's the biggest difference with trail shoes as opposed to normal road racing shoes?
Well, the main difference is probably first of all, the outsole for sure. I mean, it's a different grip. If you take an outsole, a trail shoe with a trail outsole on the road too much, you wear them off super quick. Because they're not designed for this concrete. They have these rubber ludges and they just wear out super quick on hard surfaces.
Yeah.
So there are different outsoles for like more aggressive trail races or trail runs where it's more wet maybe. So you need more grip. And others are a bit less aggressive. Then the stack height is normally a bit lower because you don't want to be too high up the ground. You feel unstable, quite unstable. For example, in a Hoka Bondi or even like in the Vaporfly with 40 mil stack, it feels quite unstable. And I think most trail shoes also have a lower drop. So I would say on average, most people run in an 8 mil drop. So that's the difference between heel and toe. So it's an 8 mil offset on the road. And I would say for trails, more like 5 or 6, I would say in average.
Okay.
Just because people want to be a bit quicker on their feet. They want to probably have a bit higher cadence, especially like uphill, downhill, climbing up rocks or stairs. So maintain a higher cadence is normally a bit easier with a lower drop as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the main difference. And you don't really get a stability shoe like with a heavy, dense medial support in trail shoes.
Okay.
Because you need this flexibility throughout the arch on trails.
Right. So the biggest disaster sounds like going trail racing with Next Percents.
Yeah, well, in saying that, I think the winner of last year's UTA 100, he won the race in a Tempo Next Percent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the shoe with the air. It's not the Alpha Fly, but it has the same air pockets like the Alpha Fly. Yeah. So he won the race, and I think he raced the whole race in this shoe, like the 100 kilometers. He didn't change the shoes.
What is it like? Those kind of intense trails, or is it like gravel? Or because I don't know that would seem bizarre going on uneasy. Because I've worn those shoes around just on concrete and they feel uneasy. I'm not sure how you'd run on trails with them.
UTA is not too bad. Like there's a few stairs and stuff, but it's not that technical. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 sections where you actually kind of could roll an ankle, but the rest of it is kind of fire trails and gravelly roads. So it's not too bad. Yeah.
So you could get rolling with those kind of shoes then.
Yeah, probably. But you still wouldn't want it on like a gravelly, steep uphill road. I think one big mistake though a lot of people make is that they run around on a trail like at I don't know, Centennial Park or somewhere that's not really technical, and they're new to running and they think, oh, I need some trail shoes because I'm going for a run on these trails. Whereas I don't know, in my opinion, I think trail shoes are more if you're out in the middle of nowhere, kind of on pretty technical terrain. It's almost like a rock climbing shoe. Yeah, would you agree with that, Nico?
Yeah, I would. And it's not many people really need a proper trail shoe, in my opinion, either, unless you're an ultra trail marathon runner and you go in the Blue Mountains every weekend, sure.
Yeah.
But normally people come in, so like, do a bit trail, do a bit road. Which trail shoe should I look for? And I said, like, to be honest, if you want to have a trail shoe, you also need a road shoe. Or you rather take a road shoe every now and then to the trails than a trail shoe to the road.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So if you see like even people that go out, road marathon runners, they go out in the Blue Mountains on the gravel road or fire trails to do a workout, just for a bit of change of scenery. They do this in the Rebel or in the Hocker Clifton or in the Glycerine. Even in the Vaporfly, you can run on gravel, right? So you don't really need a trail shoe for that kind of runs.
Okay. Sorry, go on, Don.
So yeah, this one's a bit kind of for me. I'm venturing into trail running and running ultras. What's the best racing trail shoe that you can think of or recommend for me?
Well, it depends a bit on the distance. Well, kind of, I think the Salomon Pulsar is kind of the Vaporfly for the trails. It's the lightest shoe I've ever had in my hand. I think it's 100 in your size, maybe 180 grams or something. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Very firm, very fast, not much cushioning or support whatsoever. So probably you would get away with it. For like a longer distance, probably the Hoka Speed Goat is really, really popular, especially for the UTI 100.
That's like Jim Walmsley, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. He uses this shoe for his 100-miler and stuff. Yeah, Salomon in general, I think, has some fast shoes because they're just a bit firmer, flatter, lower stack. There's a Hoka shoe coming out soon. Probably not for UTA. It's with a carbon plate.
Oh, wow.
So it's the Tecton X, I think it's going to call. So it's a trail shoe with a carbon plate. So now the carbon plate technology goes into the trails. That's going to be interesting. See that development. Yeah, but probably for you, for the 100s, yeah, maybe the Hoka Zinal would be an option as well. Okay. Yeah. I imagine you would enjoy something lighter, not too heavy, not too much cushioning.
Yeah, I think so. Especially if it's a bit technical, like the main race for the year will be Brisbane 100-miler, which I think is a bit, probably want something a bit lighter for that. And then
the Brooks Catamount is good as well.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one.
Yeah, they're using their super foam that they're using for their elite marathon carbon plated racing shoe as well. It's the same foam that they're using in the midsole.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a good shoe for you as well.
Yeah, I'll have to look into those. Thanks for the recommendations.
No worries, mate.
And another question I had was, what shoes are you running with at the moment? So what daily trainer, what session shoe, and what would you use for an 800, a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon?
Yeah. Well, I don't have an 800-meter shoe yet.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it the other day on New Year's Eve that I really want to do an 800-meter time trial or even race and a 1,500-meter on the track.
Yeah.
Just to see where I'm at.
Yeah.
Especially after the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but for me, so my rotation at the moment, I'm pretty lucky working in a shoe shop. So I stick my shoes my feet in every shoe that arrives, just to get a feel of the shoe, and then obviously buy a few new shoes, probably too many for my partner. So we've got the rule now: every time I bring a new shoe, an old one has to go. Because it's getting quite too many. But yeah, I think it's just easier talk about shoes and selling shoes when you run in them, have a feel for them. So my go-to shoes at the moment, my rotation, it's actually 7 shoes, 6 to 7 shoes.
Oh my God.
At the moment. I think the rule of thumb, I would say, if you run 4 times a week as an avid runner, you should have at least 2 different shoes, 2 different pairs, maybe 3. for me at the moment, for easy days and daily trainer, so that's one category for me. I'm using the ASICS Nova Blast 2 and the Mach 4 from Hoka. So the Mach 4 is actually one of my favorite shoes ever. I just love it. It's light. Both shoes are very versatile. They don't have a plate, but their cushioning fairly stable as well. You can actually pick up the pace. Some people would probably argument why you're using a Nova Blast or a Mach 4 for an easy day. But I just like the bounce and the cushioning when I just go for my easy days.
Yeah.
Are they borderline tempo shoes? Is that what?
Well, pretty like there's a new shoe category, I think, that's been created the last 2 or 3 years. I think one of the first one was the Pegasus Turbo, which I never ran in myself. I just only hear everyone is like, oh, the shoe is the best shoe ever. And then Nike just stopped it.
Yep. I'm in that boat.
I think because they realized everyone was buying a Pegasus Turbo and then it didn't need a Pegasus or a Vomero or anything else. So obviously they want to sell more shoes than just one to each customer. But this category is coming back now with shoes like the Endorphin Speed from Saucony, which I have in my rotation as well. Then the New Balance Rebel, the ASICS Nova Blast, the Mach 4. So these shoes, they're using some of them using their super shoe foam. So the foam with that's soft, bouncy, forgiving, and a lot of energy return. But without having a plate. So the carbon plate, usually it puts a lot of pressure on your like body and joints and kind of stuff. So you shouldn't run all day, every day in a carbon plated shoe.
Yeah.
It just, the risk of getting injured is too high, and you don't need it. You don't need a $300 super shoe for your easy days, right? Or even for your threshold or tempo days. But you want to have something faster. So you get something light with a good bouncing cushioning. And these shoes are so versatile that you can use them for a long run, for a session as a session shoe, or for an easy day.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense. So the Nova Blast and Mach 4. In fact, I did a time trial in the Nova Blast, a 3K time trial. When we did it as a group, as turbo runners on the wheel, spun up, and I did it as Centennial Park. And I think forgot what I did. I think I did a 940.
Wow.
I think a 940.
Quick. Yeah.
So it's like, what's that average? 312s, 330s?
Yeah. Far out.
Something like that in the Nova Blast. So
quick.
Yeah, we definitely can pick up the pace in those. So yeah, I use the ASICS Nova Blast and the Mach 4 pretty much for everything. Daily trainer, easy shoes. Sometimes I use them for long run as well. Then I've got the next category for me is tempo threshold. So more like the sessions that I'm doing. And I'm using here the Endorphin Speed 2, which for so many runners out there was the shoe of the year last year and even the year before.
I think Smitty's a big fan.
Yeah, there's so many people are big fans of the shoe.
I'm a very big fan.
Yeah. Why? Tell us why.
To be honest, it felt like, going back to your comment about the Turbo, I love that shoe because you could pick up the pace and still run a solid long run. So it was quite versatile. So you could do sort of that threshold work, the long run, and also you could do easy day stuff. So that was the Turbo. And then I heard the hype about the Speed 2, and I tried it, and it felt very similar to that shoe to me. So that's a personal reason why I like that shoe. And it feels really light, fast. I probably wouldn't run in that on my easy days, but definitely threshold long runs. It's been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I hear from people that know the Turbo as well. That's pretty similar. The rumor is that this year Nike is going to release a new Turbo as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, they released the equivalent was meant to be the one we just talked about. The next, what's it called? Not the next percent.
Next Flyknit or something?
Oh no,
Yeah.
the guy won in
Won the
UTAs as well.
Ultra. That was I was hoping that was going to be like the turbo.
Oh, the
Turbo
10
X%.
Connect percent.
Yeah, that
Mm.
one. But it felt nothing like it.
Yeah,
tell
that's
you
a
the
bit of a
truth.
flop, that shoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fast, but it
So
felt
clunky.
weird.
Yeah.
It felt really weird. But that was just my. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, Nico.
No, that's good. Like, yeah, for me, for example, like it took a while, and that's another example of like you need to try the shoe, and you have personal preferences. Everyone was frothing this shoe, especially some of the guys working at Pace. Sam Hopper is known as the endorphin speed guy. Like he has like I think 5 or 6 pairs just of the first version, and now he has like 3 or 4 pairs of the second version.
Yeah.
So and I was like, okay, what is the fuss about? I need a pair. So I got a pair of the 2s, which is pretty similar to the first. I just changed a bit of the upper. And to be honest, the first 100K, I was thinking like, what are you talking about? Why is the shoe so good? Yeah, I understand it's fast, but like it feels so uncomfortable for me because I'm kind of a heavy runner. I'm like a bit more than 80 kilos at the moment, and I'm a heel striker. Another thing that people think is like, oh, heel striker, how bad? But anyway, and it's very soft in the heel, and so I always overpronate a bit too much in the shoe, so I didn't feel comfortable. And I did a long run, 20K. My feet were so sore afterwards.
Okay.
I said I absolutely don't like the shoe, but it took like 100, maybe 150K until I really say now, like, oh, I love this shoe. If I have a threshold day, like I think tomorrow I have like 45 minutes at marathon pace or something. I definitely gonna wear the endorphin speed tomorrow, just because it feels fast. And cushioning, and my feet are not as beaten up afterwards. After a session like this. So yeah, definitely. Very good shoe, yeah. And then I have the Rebel V2 as well for some shorter tempo stuff, because a bit lower stack, but it has a lower drop. So it's a 6 mil drop. It's not much, but for me, I can feel the difference between 8 and 6.
So are most of your other shoes like 8 or 10 mil drop, and then?
Yeah, so I have that's why I like the Mach 4 as well from Hoka. Most Hoka shoes have a low drop, so it's a 5 mil for the Hoka.
Oh, okay.
I've got a Kinvara. I'm not using it that much anymore, but Kinvara is a really good shoe. It has a 4 mil drop. But yeah, Mach 4 is probably my lowest with 5, and then the New Balance Rebel with 6.
Okay. And just like, I don't know, for the listener, how does drop kind of affect your joints and your knees and stuff? Like, do you choose a higher drop for a certain reason, or is it just mostly the feel, I guess?
Yeah. So heel to toe drop, for the listeners that don't know, is that it's a difference between the stack height or where your foot sits in the shoe between the heel and the toe. So normally you've got there are shoes out there that try to having a 0 drop to like a barefoot running kind of style shoe. But then you have a low drop, which is normally between 1 and 4 mil, whereas kind of where Hoka sits, around the 4-5 mil. So it's considered a low drop shoe. You've got mid drop, which is 5 to 8, and then you've got high drop 8+. Most shoes actually we sell or on the market are around this 8 to 10 mil drop. And what it means in terms of load or changing the running style. So a drop has the potential to influence the foot strike, definitely. So a higher drop loads more your knees, your quads, and your hips.
Okay.
Rather than the lower drop loads more your lower legs, which is your Achilles tendons, your calves, your ankles. And if you think about it, it makes sense when you think you have a lower drop. So every step you do, your heel goes lower to the ground. So it has a longer stretch. So your Achilles tendon gets more stretched, for example, and your calf. So it puts more pressure on the calf. So you could actually use it vice versa. So if you have a bit of niggle, or you might even be injured in your, like me last year, when I was injured at my knee with a patella tendonitis. I used lower drop shoes, right, to just get load off my knees. And vice versa. If you have a Achilles tendon issue or calf, you probably want to stick to something with an 8, maybe even 10 or 12 mil drop.
Wow.
to fully load your knees, but take the load off your Achilles tendons. And in terms of strike and cadence, so like if the drop is higher, it's probably suitable more for a heel striker and for a bit slower cadence, while the lower drop puts you a bit more on your midfoot and forefoot, and you do a bit of quicker steps. So that's what I mentioned with the trail shoes. Most trail shoes have a lower drop, just because most people on the trails want to have like being quicker on their feet, doing more.
There's not as much rhythm, I guess.
I just did a cadence workout because every now and then I work a bit on my cadence just to remind my body and my mind what a cadence around like 175. That's my aim on cadence feels like. And I did it in the Rebel V2 because it has a 6 mil drop, so it's not like 8 or 10. So it feels a bit easier to work on your cadence in a lower drop shoe.
Thanks for that. That's really good and like interesting how you can kind of play with drop depending on how your legs are feeling. If you're feeling a knee niggle or something in your foot like Achilles, I think that's good advice for the listeners for sure.
Yeah. When I was like first started running back in 2012 or 13, I never thought about these things. I actually thought when someone told me like, yeah, there are drops in shoe, it's 5 mil and 8 mil. I said, like, come on, 3 mils, like as if you would feel that. Never.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, and now I really feel that, like doing a long run in a shoe with 4 mil or doing a long run with a shoe in a hard long run with 8 or 10 mil, you feel the next morning definitely what kind of shoe you were training in.
Yeah, right. Okay. What do you feel is there a category just for long run, or do you feel there's more shoes that are geared towards the long run specifically, or does that sort of roll across into different categories also?
Yeah, like, so my category, again, it was tempo and threshold. I used the endorphin speed in the Rebel V2, and I have the Cloud Boom Echo, which is from On Running. I use that for intervals and track as well. And then my third category is the long run. And I mentioned it before, I easily could use the ASICS Nova Blast or the Mach 4 from Hoka for a long run because it's cushioning, it's light. But most of my long runs I do at marathon pace or kind of faster with a fart leg. So lately I enjoy the New Balance RC Elite on my long runs. Okay. So that's New Balance's super shoe. But the plate is not as aggressive as in a Vaporfly, so you don't feel the plate as much.
Okay.
And the foam is super, super soft. And it's actually, interestingly, more stable than the Vaporfly, for me anyway. Even though it's so soft, but it's broader.
Yeah.
So I'm using the RC Elite for my long runs, yeah.
Interesting. That was actually going to be my next question is how do you feel about using those performance shoes? Because I've just heard that I haven't personally run much in any of the like Next Percents or anything. A, because they're expensive and I don't want to wear them out. And B, because I hear, as to your point before, it's probably not the best in terms of for your joints and everything like that. Do you have many runners doing long runs frequently in those?
Yeah, we've got, I mean, if you go to Centennial Park, since I work for Pace, I can't go on a run not looking at other runners running shoes.
Yeah.
It's like every time a runner's pass me or I'm passing a runner, I look at the shoes first.
Right away, yeah.
And if you see these people, you see even people, the other day someone sent me a photo. He saw someone doing his grocery shopping in Vaporflies.
Oh my God.
Overpronating heavily like that. And it's like, what? Actually, what? I don't know. Like, so it's, since these shoes are available to the broader market, you definitely see a lot of people running in them, and you think like, you definitely shouldn't run in these shoes. So because these shoes are not even made for running slow. It's like high-end performance shoe. And what you mentioned as well, the price. These shoes, like, it's pretty much $1 per kilometer. The shoes are like $310, $370.
Yeah.
And I think Brooks even has it on the website, on the brooksrunning.com website. It says their Hyperion Elite, I think it's called, is $400, I think. And they say on the website after 100 or 150K, the shoe will lose the performance.
Yeah, wow.
Which is like, it's 3 marathons with a bit of preparation. It's a joke. And you see people running around and it's like, okay, I mean, money is one thing if the people can afford it, but it doesn't do anything good when you go in these shoes on an easy day, on an easy run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another big mistake that I see people. I mean, COVID changed a bit the running world. Like more people picked up running for sure with all the gym closures and stuff. And they see the shoes online and on YouTube, and everyone breaks the world record on these shoes, all these runners. And they say, like, oh, I need the shoes, $300, I get it, and I'll be faster. And then they're running way too fast of most of their runs.
Yeah.
And so for me, I have a Vaporfly as well. I use it for races and I use it for key sessions. So for example, the last big long run for my marathon, I'm gonna run in the Vaporfly, or I'm gonna run in the shoe I'm going to race in.
Yeah.
Just first of all, to double check, can I hold the distance in the shoe, right? But also just like, to have a feel how it feels on this race tempo and distance.
Yeah, that was that book you recommended me, Dom. I can't remember the name, but in the marathon programs, they actually recommend to run in your race shoe. And I did run in, that's probably the only time I ran in the Vaporfly was outside of the race, is exactly the same situation on the key workout. Like you do a 20K marathon pace workout just to see how it feels. So definitely don't use them for your everyday long runs or everyday runs.
No, definitely not.
Okay. All right.
We've got people, they have like 3 pairs and they say like, oh, I do all my runs in them. I need a new pair. And he said like, oh, really? And you never been injured or any niggles? Oh yeah, I have a bit of lower back pain. Now you ask me. I said, well, okay. Maybe try something different.
Yeah. Well, that might have something to do with it. Oh dear. What is the, for the beginner that walks in, is there a shoe you're confident recommending without them trying, like without getting them fitted? Is it like for example, a go-to shoe I can think of is just the Pegasus range? Is there something like that, or do you much prefer or much more confident getting them to actually try it on?
Yeah, I'm not feeling comfortable if someone comes in and says like, I'm new to running and buys the shoe off the wall. I think they need to try them on, at least 2 or 3 different pairs, just to have a feeling and feel the difference between the shoes, right?
Yeah.
If someone like you guys come in, obviously you can buy the shoe off the wall, but even then, like trying them on makes a difference.
Yeah.
In terms of go-to, I think a Pegasus, you said it, as like, you can't really go wrong with a Pegasus still. I mean, it's the oldest running shoe in the world. I think we're up to Pegasus 38. So this shoe is around for almost 40 years, gets updated once a year.
Yeah,
it's
wow.
Crazy.
And
probably at the moment, one of the shoes we sell the most at pace is the Hoka Clifton.
All right. Yeah.
In my opinion, you can't go wrong with the shoe either.
Yeah.
I mean, Hoka still, some people think it's the old man's running shoe, like looks like so high stack and stuff.
Yeah, they do look a bit funny.
Yeah, they look funny, right? But they look after your feet. They're high cushioning. They're super light. Everyone that comes in never had a Hoka before in its hands, sees the shoe on the wall, say, oh my God, so much cushioning. Takes the shoe and say, oh my God, that's so light.
Yeah. Yeah, they do look clunky.
Yeah.
Just at first glance. But they are light. Yeah, 100%.
And they give you a bit stability if you need, like they're neutral shoe, right? But they're a bit broader as well. So because of the broader landing platform, they give you a bit of more stability in a natural way without being a heavily stability shoe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Talking about like stability shoes, why would you need a stability shoe over just a general kind of running shoe?
Well, in my opinion, most people don't really need a stability shoe, I think.
Okay.
I think the better way to go, if you really over pronate a lot, first of all, people think pronation is a bad thing. And when you actually think about, if you wouldn't pronate, you wouldn't really you couldn't really walk. So pronating, rolling inwards, is a normal, natural way of your foot cycle, of your gait cycle. It's a way that the body takes a shock, absorb the shock of your of the impact, takes it off your joints, ligaments, tendons, kind of thing. So pronation itself is a normal, natural thing that we all need. Overpronation is quite normal as well. If you're not, like, let's put it this way, if you're not getting injured, you definitely can get away with it. So in my own experience, I got put in a stability shoe in adrenaline 2015 for my marathon in Berlin with orthotics from a podiatrist.
Oh, geez.
And the physio that I was saying with some knee niggles at the time was actually saying to me, he wasn't a runner. He was saying, mate, you shouldn't run. You're too tall, you're too heavy. Running is not the right sport for you.
Hang on a minute.
And I was like, mate, and I had knee pain all the time. And I got put in this adrenaline high stability shoe with orthotics. Adrenaline has a 12 mil drop. It bangs your knees, like it loads your knees so much. And now I run in a Rebel V2 or a Vaporfly that's like no stability whatsoever. And I've never been injured really. If you look at my gait cycle, I quite overpronate. I'm a heavy heel striker, right? I compress the foam a lot, especially these soft super foams. But as long as I'm not get injured, why should I be in something unnatural? Why should I be in something that gives me stability that my body clearly don't need because my body is not getting injured? An injury is normally a sign of the body saying like something is wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So you can see that like in the 80s, 90s, I think stability, you can see this in numerous studies as well between overpronator and natural runner. The risk of getting injured is the same. It's just where you get injured. That's more of the question.
Yeah. And I think it seems like getting injured it's to do with like the strength of your body and maybe doing gym exercises or strength work elsewhere can help you from getting injured rather than just a shoe. Like a shoe seems like a bit of a band-aid solution. You're not really getting to the core of what's going on. Yeah,
definitely. I think these days people want to take the shortcut in so many things, especially running as well. They pick up running, they see their friends doing it for years, running a sub-3 marathon, and say like, I want to do a sub-3 marathon. They're getting injured, they go to a physio, and the physio says like, oh, you need to do some strength work to work on your lower leg muscles. And they say like, oh, I don't want to do that. I just need a shoe that gives me stability. And the way that the stability shoes these days provide this stability changed as well. So what I said before, a Hoka Clifton is theoretically a neutral shoe, but it gives you a certain stability with their what they call active foot frame. Same with the Brooks guide rails. So they don't have this high density
structure
like medial post anymore. They changed, for example, the Cayano Light, they changed the geometry of the foam just to give you a bit more like stability or like a guidance for the shoe, for the foot, rather than this like very dense medial support. Because you see like a lot of people, super athletes, that pronate a lot as well, especially at the end of the race, when you get fatigued and depleted and stuff, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But don't fix it if it ain't broke, I think. And if you do need stability, I would say it's the more expensive way, but definitely the better way for your foot is to go to a podiatrist, get orthotics that you need, and put them in a neutral shoe. So we get a lot of people coming from a podiatrist with their orthotics, and we put them in a neutral shoe with the orthotics. That's the best support you can get, because that's support for your foot, for your gait cycle. If you think about a Cayano or Brooks Adrenaline, it's one shoe, and it should provide support for thousands, if not millions of people. How is this even possible, right? How can one system give you the individual support that you might need?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Going to a podiatrist, and that's probably the best way if you think you need support.
I think I think I tried to do that short-term fix early on when I was having calf problems, and I tried to figure out what to do in terms of buying a shoe, but it really just came to doing calf raises consistently to strengthen that. That's all it came down to. Yeah. I have a question around frequency with Dom's noting it down. I assume, Dom, you're referring to how often do you have to buy running shoes? When do they start wearing out? Around how many kilometers, that sort of thing, because that's something I'm curious about myself in terms of, am I getting rid of them too early? I don't really know.
Well, it depends again. Like, I think in general, the rule that you see a lot of the internet is 500 miles, which is around 800K.
That's quite a lot, yeah.
That's quite a lot. I think that applies for most of the daily trainers, I would say. So Hoka, Clifton, maybe even a Mach 4, a Nova Blast, you definitely can get like 800Ks out of these shoes without losing too much performance. If you're talking about performance shoes with this super foam, like I said, again, you would probably get more out of the shoes than I am because I'm heavy, I'm a heel striker. So the real performance, the energy return out of the super foam is probably getting less with like 300Ks for me. But Dom probably could like have a Vaporfly for 500-600K and still get the benefit. Maybe not even the full benefit, but still more benefit than I would get out of it. But yeah, I would say most shoes, daily trainers, I would say around 800K.
Yeah, okay. That feels about right. The Pegasus, I feel I get that full 800, even 900K that I'm running in one pair, and they still feel okay. But in terms of, I've always wondered, once you hit that sort of thing, your risk of injury, I imagine, would spike right up once the shoe is worn. Does that seem correct?
Well, probably. I mean, I don't really know studies about it, or from a medical point of view. But it makes sense if you lose the cushioning, if you lose the like the foam, support, shock absorption of the foam, then probably you get more impact through your joints, ligaments, bones. You can normally feel that as an
you can runner. You definitely can. When the shoe starts wearing, it's a bit it gets a bit concerning.
I mean, you can have a look at the outsole as well. More depends a bit on the outsole. Some shoes have a lot of rubber underneath, some don't. So it depends a bit again, but like I said, I would say like 800K. I will definitely track it and always take the shoe to your running store if you buy new ones. Always, just so the guys that work there can have a look. You see a lot of bigger running shoes chains or stores worldwide. They have this gait analysis, very fancy, or some scanner you stand on and then you get all these scans in. But at the end of the day, it's all fancy, but you don't really need that. You just need to speak to someone who has a bit experience about running. Have a look at your running shoe.
Listen to this podcast episode.
Listen to this podcast. Because for me, if I see someone with a shoe, he ran in 800 kilometers, I see the wear pattern, that tells me more about a gait analysis on an iPad.
I've always wondered if that's a gimmick. I know, I distinctly know which store you're referring to, but I'll leave that alone.
Well, first of all, that's the other thing with the overpronation. The people see the ankle collapsing, right? And I say like, oh, he's a heavily overpronator. But for example, with me again, I overpronate a bit as well. But if you see my hips and my knees, they're lining up straight forward, neutral. So, and that's another thing that, for example, this scanner or some gait analysis, just putting the iPad on your ankles, doesn't really pick up.
So you can get there's a danger of putting someone in the wrong shoe or just it being used not as useful as it's set out to be. That's for sure. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I have my own experience. Like I said, again, the adrenaline that I wore on 2015. I'm pretty sure I got my knee injury from the shoe that I was put in.
Yeah. Okay. So you gotta be careful with that. One thing I've always wondered, people looking up, that's why I mentioned, would you be comfortable recommending a shoe? It's probably not the best to just Google a shoe or watch a YouTube video again, because there's no way to tell if it's going to be right for you. So always pop into your local running store by the sounds of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I guess until you've got an idea of what your feet are doing, and
until you get the experience. I got the other day, he said like, oh, they said I think it was a 1080 and a Rebel, and he said like, oh, they said it's a good shoe, and I asked him straight, said, who's they? He's like, oh, the two YouTubers are So, well, what are these YouTubers? Are they runners? What kind of runners are they? And it turns out one of the YouTubers I watch myself, and he's like, I think a 220 marathoner is like 160 centimeters, weighs 58 kilograms, and he thinks the shoe is good.
Who was it? Just out of curiosity.
I think Seth Demore.
Yeah.
And anyway, the customer in front of me was taller than I am, was heavier than I am, and it's new to running.
Yeah.
I said, mate, just because Seth Demore likes the shoe doesn't mean the shoe works for you. So, mate,
that's a really good point.
Yeah. You can, because I've watched a lot of those videos. They give it's entertaining, and it gives you an idea, because they review the shoe and say in these different categories it's good for this reason, but it doesn't tell you what if it's going to be good for you.
It doesn't apply. So
it's also
for everyone
individualized. I had a guy
on the other side, if Dom would watch some of these YouTube videos, he would know how to take it, right? So I think it comes down to experience of the customers.
All right. I think,
do you reckon we should? Do you have any questions, Dom?
Yeah, that covers all the shoe questions. Maybe do you want to ask some funner questions? All right, we'll close with one of these questions. What's the best race that you've ever run, Nico?
Oh, me. Well, time-wise, and just because after COVID and the good atmosphere afterwards, was definitely the Sydney Harbour 10, I think.
Yeah.
And just because, like, finishing next to the Opera House and kind of stuff, that's quite special, especially for me, not like coming from here. So that's definitely, in terms of performance as well, I was quite happy with the result. But emotionally, my best race was probably the Berlin Marathon 2015, which I finished with my dad. So hand in hand through Brandenburg Gate.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was quite special. Yeah. And still my marathon PB.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, that'll get dropped.
Which is embarrassing.
What is it?
It's 3:33.
Oh, that's all right, mate. Well, it's going to be 2:25 something pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, but again, what you said the other day, like looking back to it now, 2015, I tried to run sub 3.5 with my dad that day. Well, my dad did a sub 3 when I was a child. That's since then I have this running lifetime goal of hitting that goal as well.
Yeah.
Best case, getting his PB. And for that day, it was like sub 3.5, and we missed this by 3 minutes. And at the end, I was like a bit more disappointed about it. So it took a bit the joy of like me finishing with my dad hand in hand. But at the time, I told to my friends, 3.5 hours marathon. I said like, oh my God, same as you last week, like running a 3:40 half marathon in 3:40 pace. It's like, is that even possible? And they were looking at me like, is 3.5 minutes even possible? And even if you look on paper, I think I placed 7,000 out of 42,000.
Yeah.
So there are 35,000 people were behind me with a 3.5 hour marathon. So on paper, people think like, oh my God, he's a sub elite athlete. Now I work with people that run a 2.5 hour marathon. Like even Dom runs a 2.5 hour marathon. It's an hour quicker, And I think like, oh my God, it's embarrassing to tell anyone that I run a 3.5 hour marathon, man.
It's all about perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all in your own head in terms of time. That's for sure. You can be disappointed, but it's all based on what you expect you were going to run, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's, I think for me, running is purely against, it sounds so weird all the time, but it's against yourself, right? We never really race against anyone else. Actually, yesterday I went up to the coast visiting some friends. One of him picked up running as well, and he asked me yesterday, "Oh, how do you race a marathon? Do you really race against other people?" I said, "I don't think not even the really elite people race a marathon against each other, because how many times you see a finish line sprint in a marathon?
Not many.
It can be technical, but a 1500 meter is on the track is more technical than a marathon." Because you stick to your own pace, you stick what you know you can maintain for 42 kilometers, right?
Yeah.
You don't risk it following someone in the first 5K, and then fuck, now the next 37K is going to be pure surviving.
Yeah.
So most of the time you try to stick to your own. I don't know what you guys think, but I think probably the longer the distance, the more you purely run your own race, even though you are in the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a different mindset and almost a better mindset to be just challenging yourself and the distance and putting yourself against the distance and how fast you can run that distance rather than comparing yourself to other people. I think, mentally it's a lot easier to give up when you're just trying to beat someone and you can't beat them. Like, there's a lot more drive that you can get from yourself if you're just targeting the distance and how fast you can go.
Yeah, 100%. That always, for me, caused problems trying to compare. This is where I want to be, for example, and you look at other people running these really fast times. It's always put me in a sort of more of a negative mind frame, as opposed to just really focusing on your own fitness. Because as both of you said, it's really, you're just trying to chase down your own personal best or your own goals. I think running, for the most part, is very personal. You're not like, obviously, because it's not really a team sport or anything like that as well. But yeah,
unless until you put it on Strava.
Yes.
And you cop the shit.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, so many times in training, I think like, fuck, I have to pick up the pace in that workout today. Otherwise, I can't put it on Strava.
Yeah.
But then I remind myself, like, mate, who cares? Like, I'm prepared for my own sub 3. I don't give a shit,
Yeah.
So yeah, mixed feelings.
100%.
Anyways.
All right. Should we wrap it up?
I think so.
That was awesome.
I think it was a great chat, guys.
Yeah. That was really good. Really, really insightful.
Yeah. We had all the questions. All the dot points we had here was ticked off, and then even heaps more. So I really, really appreciate that insight. And I'm gonna be popping in myself to get fitted, because it seems like I need to. Maybe my toes don't need to suffer as much as they are.
Yeah. Thanks guys for having me. I really appreciate it as well. To share.